Everyone. Deborah Hamilton, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast. Please remember to like and share if you enjoy this upcoming episode with Maribeth Decker. She is a repeat guest because I just love speaking to her about things that are so important to our psyche. You know, Mary Beth is an animal communicator. Today, we're going to talk about a number of things, some of which are the new decision that came down, making pets an immediate member of the family under certain circumstances, and then talking about how we should strive to be the people our pets think we are. So let's hear what Maribeth and I had to say. Hi, I'm Deborah Hamilton. Welcome to my podcast, Why Do Pets Matter? 10 years ago, with my iPhone and a script, I recorded the first episode of the Ultimate Pet Resolution Summit, which chatted with experts about conflicts over animals. Our conversations were intimate, honest, and illustrated how disagreements over animals occur and how those disagreements can reshape people's lives and relationships. In November 2019, I started Why Do Pets Matter, a new podcast that continued these informative discussions. I'm so excited to have you here with me, continuing my exploration into a more meaningful conversation about why pets matter to all of us. My guests and I will share ideas, stories, and experiences straight from the heart, unscripted and holistic. From the bravest moments to the most brokenhearted, we will explore how to resolve disagreements over animals differently. One thing I know for sure is I want to have more meaningful conversations that will help all of us unlock that deeply felt human-animal bond that drives the emotions of conflict. Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast. Thanks for coming on. Please remember to like and share this recording that I'm going to do today with Maribeth Decker because she is fabulous. Maribeth, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here, and I'm excited to say that today it is cooler here than it is where you're living, and I'm in Virginia, and I'm so sorry for you, and I'm so pleased for myself. I just had to throw that in.
I know. Oh my God. It's been, for everyone who has pets, the last week has been disgusting with respect to the heat everywhere. They called it a heat dome.
Everywhere.
So everybody's pets were something that they had to take care of and take care of themselves because you can't go out in this kind of heat either.
That's it. And so I'm touching the sidewalks, and then I'm touching the asphalt. And yesterday it was like, guys, we're just going this 1/8 of a mile. Do everything because we cannot cross
Yeah.
anywhere else. No asphalt today. There was
It's
okay.
so funny that you talk about that because that's what I did with my dog. I was walking where he could walk on grass instead of the asphalt. And then
Yes.
if we couldn't walk on the grass, the asphalt had to be covered by trees so that it was still shaded. And we only
Yes.
maybe a mile, but it was all on area. And it seems like he's impervious to it, but I know it's hot. And so I want to make sure he's staying safe. There have been a lot of pictures on the internet about dogs who've stepped on pavement at this time and their feet have gotten burned. So Maribeth and I are asking you please to be careful of your pets
Yes,
in this heat.
please.
So, Maribeth, we always start with why do pets matter? And I know there's so many reasons why pets matter to you. So I don't feel bad about asking you that question again. And on this day, what would your answer be?
Oh my goodness. I have been thinking about my birthday. It's about 2 weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
And like what matters most, and relationships matter most. That's memories and relationships. And pets matter because they are part of the beautiful life I've been given. I got my ups and downs. I'm not saying that, but it, what they have added to my life, what they continue to add to my life, both in the guys who are still on the planet, my 2 dogs and 2 cats right now, and the ones who've passed on, the memories, and then sometimes the sense of still connecting with them. That is worth waking up for every day.
Because every day they're there. I have friends up in Connecticut who I bought them wind chimes with the girls' names on it, and every day they go outside and they touch the wind chimes
Oh, oh,
because the wind chimes make the noise. And they said, they love the wind chimes in the trees because they are wind chime people. So the wind chimes, the dogs
ah,
always be there. And they sent me a video of one of the dogs before she passed, looking up at the wind chime that they had, not hers, of course, because she didn't have one yet. So you're right. And when I talk to people who lose their pets, sometimes they say, and I'm sure you've heard this, I'm never going to get another dog because I can't go through
I know.
this upset again. And I go, I get it. I said, and if you can remember that the adventure you had was made so much better because they were with you. I said, maybe you can see your way clear to remember that, yeah, this is the worst part of owning a dog. And yet the best part of owning a dog is having them there with you, sharing your life.
Oh, and so true. Oh, so true. Uh, yeah, yeah. I'm feeling kind of heartfelt right now because my son lost his he had to let his dog Jade go a couple days ago, so I'm still feeling that, and we're missing her too. Her nickname was Jady Jade, so that was my nickname for her. But what the
It's
memories and the joy we had, and holy cow,
I don't think
people
we'd
we
ever
don't do a very good job with each other.
know because
That's-
they
oh,
don't, and the memories you have really hold the fabric of your life together.
they do, and that's that is what I'm taking with me as I age. So
And
yeah.
they're with you, so they're always mind's eyes where you remember things. And I know we were speaking about this before we came back on, but I've had so many dogs in my life, it's crazy. And I do see them all at various times, and I do think about them all at various times. When I do something, it's sort of like deja vu. Oh, wait, the last time I thought of this or saw this, I was with Raisin, or I was with Daisy, or I was with Deirdre. So,
Yes.
you just, to me, my heart could break because of all the dogs I've lost. But I choose to be grateful that they chose me to take their adventure with.
Yes, I love that because I believe that's the truth. We don't just choose them; they choose us. I feel like no, my belief system is that they're part of our soul family. That we all made some kind of a contract before everybody showed up and said, "I'll be with Mary Beth. I'm not sure when, but we'll be there, and I'll be with Deborah." And you know, that's it.
Yeah.
That's my people.
I know. And it just is so wonderful. So that's a great segue because we wanted to get together today for the audience to chat a little bit about a new case that came down in New York, that created the language that is rushing through the legal hallways. The judge said that the dog in a case called De Blas or De Blasi was
Mhm.
considered an immediate family member. And because the owner's mother was walking the dog when the dog unfortunately succumbed to getting run over by a car right in front of her, she could recover emotional distress for that because under New York's law, which is in the proximity, if you're in the proximity of a certain um, catastrophe, you can recover for emotional distress. And I'm I'm thinking that this is a landmark case. The judge was quick to put it to these specific facts. So it's not going to make every dog now become an immediate family member if a case goes to court. However, if you meet the parameters of this decision, which is you see your pet, um, who you love, be injured or killed, you might be able to recover more than uh, property damages for that pet. And Mary Beth, you had some thoughts about that.
I did. I really love that because I've been always fascinated and horrified to think that some people actually just say pets are property. I know that is true in the legal sense. I'm talking to a lawyer who knows her, her SHIT, but uh still I've been horrified by that. And I actually, it's funny because when we came together, I had done a quick blog for my folks about this because I was so excited. And I got to read, there's a part from the Non-Human Rights Project um, who assisted in this, but they said, I'm going to just read this because it makes me so happy. Too often, courts reflexively apply outdated precedents that treat animals as mere property, even when those precedents no longer reflect common sense. Today's decision shows the justice system at its best, fulfilling its fundamental duty to deliver justice based on facts and reason, not outdated legal fictions. And I'm like, wow, somebody's saying it
Out loud, out loud and proud,
out
because
loud.
pets, my friend Peter Weinstein, who's a veterinarian who I love, said in one of my podcasts, if you go back and listen to his podcast, I think it was his podcast that he said this. He said, pets became more than property when we discovered good flea and tick medication,
That
because that's
floors me, but it makes a lot of sense.
because they came out of the backyard where they were kept because they were animals, right? They stay outside. And there are still some people today that the dogs stay outside. That's where dogs belong, outside. Um, that doesn't mean they don't love them as much. They love them in a different way, or they care for them. It's just a different perspective. But once the dogs were brought in and they cuddled up against you, and then they went, it was not a very long leap from the kitchen to the bed. And once they were in the bed, that was it. Now they are members of the family. And I don't think there's anyone I've ever spoken to, even on a farm, um, who would say that animals don't, feel pain. They don't have emotional attachments or things like that. Uh,
Mm.
and most of the people who have companion animals, I mean, horse owners and cow owners might not. I know chicken owners do, because from what I understand, I wanted chickens, but it doesn't work well with bird dogs. So I tried to save the chickens from a quick demise. Um, they are really beings that hold a safe space for humans.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And they ask for us to be our best selves. So you love the phrase, and I have a T-shirt that says, "Be the person your dog thinks you are." Like, there's an expectation that we will also show up as decent human beings. I keep thinking that maybe that as we learn that with our animals, we might also give that grace to other human beings. Like, we will learn the lesson.
I've been
That's
in
my
this
hope.
business for such a long time, and it just dawned on me that my catchphrase for people who should choose to try to resolve a conflict and litigate, instead of being right, you get it right. That would require you to be the person your dog thinks you are.
That is really true because you look, and well, actually, I wrote the book Peace and Passing Comfort for Loving Humans during animal transitions. And also, I believe that's true when we have to make decisions about when to let them go. If we let them go on their own or not, when we do it, what they're asking us to do it with love and concern, and what our heart tells us and what we see. And if we don't have to get it right. I really like to, I have to say this because I just lost Jade. Doesn't have to be a perfect decision as long as it's made with love and concern. They only take our love with them into the afterlife.
And they know that we're
Okay.
doing the best we can in that moment.
Yes. Yes.
And they're not to be mad at us. What if they could have lived another week? What if they could have lived another month? Well, if they were not living their best life, which is what we all want for our pets, then
Yep.
maybe we need to consider enabling them to transition so that they can thank us for not making them walk that walk that we as humans make humans walk. That is just going to make the last few, days, weeks, months, years of their life difficult. I mean, there are many people. I mean, I always look at rescue animals, and sometimes they're really in bad shape, and people go, no, we're going to get them back, and they do get them back. And I go, I'm just not sure that if that dog or horse had a voice, they would have said, just let me go. Just let me go.
Yeah.
I'm tired. It's bad, and I'm sure that many people who are going to listen to this go, Deborah, how could you say that? And my mantra for my dogs, just for my dogs, is I'd rather let them go a minute early than a minute late.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I have made decisions where I feel like I did either side of that phrase, the earlier or the late, and I've still forgiven. Um, Still
Because they
forgiven.
forgive you. They for,
Yes. They're like, no, no. Yeah.
they trust you.
Anyway, I'm getting into that. They do. They do. They just say, no, I love you. I love the time we've had together. You've done so much. Well, I'm thinking of my dog Tibor, uh, another guy that came out of dog fighting and had a very, very good life with us, figured out how to live with cats. So yeah, and when he passed, he's like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm good.
And he's with you. I'm sure you see him all the time, or at least you see him in your mind's eye.
I feel him. Yeah, in my mind's eye is more accurate. I will come out of the recreation center where I'm doing Tai Chi, and my husband, and who used to bring the two Stella and T over there for a walk, and I would see the picture of him being there and them being so excited, and I just kind of knew he was there. He's really there. He's just hanging out.
So Pets' property has been an
Yep.
enormous discussion for years and years and years, because I don't think any of us believe our pets are something other than family members or companions. At
Yeah.
least listening to this podcast, likely. However, there are several reasons why keeping them as property. I love a guy named Richard Rosenthal of the Lexus Project. He likes to keep pets property. At least he did, and I think this is how he would say it. And I'm probably better off, and I'll give a link in the notes for you to check out the Lexus Project. But he can, I think, more easily, if I remember our conversation well, and so I will give that up that I'm old and I forget stuff, but I think I remember this correctly. He said, if you keep them property, I can get them out of the state if they are going to be put to sleep because they bit someone. Even if it wasn't their fault, even if it was, I can maneuver property better than I can maneuver something that has, you know, um, uh, less than property values, that, or better said, part of the family values, right? So it was an interesting argument, and I understood it then, and I sort of understand it still now, that we need to make sure that pets are treated in a way that give them the most opportunity to um, respond to how they respond. So you have had two dogs out of dog fighting. They had a great life with you. We haven't chatted about this, but whether or not they were um, reliable in their temperament, or they had their triggers. This is something that people really need to know, respect, and provide for. So if your dog, I have a client right now whose little Boston Terrier was killed by a dog across the street. And the owner knew that this dog definitely would go off the property and hurt other dogs that had done that before. And I think it had hurt a person. But for some reason, no one ever paid attention to that. And unfortunately, both dogs succumbed. Well, the Boston Terrier succumbed to her injuries, and the dog who attacked her while he was running loose was unfortunately hit by a car. I wouldn't wish that on any dog ever. So he was lost. And I often wonder, and this is the fear, is that if the owners take responsibility for their pets who may have triggers that they have to be careful, children, cats, dogs, whatever it is that triggers them, that they take care to make sure those dogs are not put in that situation so that they can get into trouble.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Jade had kind of, my son called it jealous, and early on, uh, she did she did attack my little dog Stella in front of me, and that I whoosh. And all was fine. I think my scream stopped everything. And I've even I even wrote a blog about how I had to work to forgive Jade, but she got a lot of training. And then my son made sure that she was in situations that were safe. And she was a one dog family now. And she never did meet the little dogs who are here now, so there's a little sadness there, but there's also we have to live with the reality of who they are and what their limitations are. She's good with people, and who knows with other dogs. So
And look at
uh
her
yeah.
book on what happened to her before, so we don't know what imprinted her brain.
Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. And with Tibor, I checked in with him, and he got a lot of stuff of I think he was the bait dog. And so things scared him a lot. Uh, but he mellowed out, over time. And so we knew he could live with cats, and he lived with dogs, and he liked kids, and he was a good guy.
Yeah, it's
Different people. I'm okay. And I'm really glad, because I remember the days where they said they went into that stuff where dog fighting, and every dog was put down before they
right.
even checked out.
Yeah.
They
It
just
was just
assumed.
Michael Vick's dogs that they took out and tried to rehab, and they realized they could for the most part.
Oh, was it Michael Vick's? Oh,
Michael
okay.
Vick's dogs. Yeah, a
No,
lot of
I'm so glad.
yeah, a lot of my friends in the law worked on that and supervised or did some of the retraining of the dogs, which to me was so wonderful and noble because it wasn't the dog's fault.
Right. You're being trained, and your life and survival
And you know no
depends.
different. You know no different.
No,
This is what you were born
no.
into. So you know no different. So it takes a certain type of person. But these dogs are our family members as well. And how do we protect them if they become more? And then, of course, the question of, well, if in fact, the law shifts in the way that everyone is, especially if the Non-Human Rights Project is happy about, if it shifts that way, what's that going to do to veterinary malpractice prices and what that's going to cost? Because right now, veterinarian malpractice is nowhere near the cost of human malpractice, where, a human malpractice practitioner, a medical practitioner might pay for his malpractice, say $300,000. A veterinarian's paying like $10,000.
I don't know what to say about that stuff. That's really out of my realm. I just would like, I mean, in my book, Peace and Passing, I actually tell people that you can have your own opinion about what your veterinarian tells you, but I didn't go into the malpractice where they make a mistake, or they tell you you should do this. I'm so trying to focus on that. The only thing I have to add to that conversation is, your pet, your animal heart to heart. And so if there's a decision they're saying about this is the course of action you should take, and it doesn't feel right, you can listen to your own heart and intuition, because some animals I've met are like, I don't want any more treatment. I just worked with a dog whose cancer came back. He's relatively young, 9. And he's like, no more, please, no more, no more, no more. And she says, okay. But if the vet, and there's also cases where the veterinarian, probably out of the goodness of what they're seeing, physically is saying it's time to euthanize, but the person is saying no, not yet. Another friend in Southern California brought her cat home, and he had 3 more weeks in the sunny Southern California sun before he passed. Um, and she felt better about that. So
Absolutely. If you can keep them
I
comfortable,
yeah. So like, I would say, don't give all your power over. listen to them as advisors, maybe as trusted advisors. And I don't know where it's going to happen with malpractice.
Well, if you do
I
that,
do think,
if you
yeah,
treat them as trusted advisors, then the malpractice would likely go away because you will have felt as if you were understood, that you understood
there
them,
you
that
go.
everything was transparent, and that you made the decision you thought was best as a team, not being pushed into
There
do
you
something.
go.
I spoke
You
to
got
someone last night. It's a
Thank
podcast
you.
from Taylor Hammond, and she has this comment which I use often. Um, pause. Pause, not PAWS. Pause. Pause and think, because you know what? When you're in that room, we had talked before we got on that, one of your dogs, they said, we can do this. And you said, fine, here's my credit card. And they did the surgery. I like, unless the dog is suffering or the cat is suffering or the bird or the horse or the snake or whatever, unless it's suffering, I like to just take a heartbeat. Can I have
That's
the room
right.
for about 15 minutes to think about it? Or can I go home and think about it? Because there are so many things that go on in, I think, all of our heads. And we have to work with our veterinarians, which of course will limit the need to sue someone for malpractice because we're working with you. We're not rushing you into anything. And if we are rushing you into something because the dog is bleeding, like say if that dog who had been hit by a car was in extremis, well, then yeah, you have to do something and you might rush in. The important piece is to maintain that communication and transparency.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that is the key is that we started with talking about relationships, a relationship of trust and being an equal part of the team with your veterinarian would probably leave most of us animal lovers in a place of saying, I trust they did the best they could. They gave me the best advice they could, or, whatever it was. And there wouldn't be the need to, it almost feels like make them pay, literally,
And
for something.
on that flip side, it was funny because when I talked to Taylor, she said, "Well, my cat died," and I was really angry with the vet. And I said, "I know this is what I do for a living." I said, "People come back and they go, well, my cat died, and I'm really mad at the vet." And I said, "Well, let's take a breath and let's go to the place where we give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't come into work that day to kill your cat or to misdiagnose your
Yes.
cat. Or, that's not what they were doing. They were doing the best they thought they could. Did they make a mistake? Did they not see something? Were they too quick? Whatever it was. Well, then let's work on that team concept, which is let's all take accountability and responsibility, which of course is a very bad word in veterinary malpractice because the insurance companies don't necessarily want to have a conversation of that sort unless you get
Mm.
sued. And so that sort of thwarts the work I do. I know this is very self serving and I'll put that out there, but it thwarts the work I do because by the time an owner is ignored or told to go away because they don't have a case, and they might not have a case, they might not, but all they want is to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else again. And if we can be the people our dogs think we are, then that statement is what should drive the conversation. So this happened to my pet. I can't get my pet back. But let's work together to figure out how to make sure, as best we can, that this doesn't happen again, especially if it's an oversight. I told you about the 18-month-old Great Dane who had a great surgery, but then died post-op because nobody was watching him.
Yes.
And so I said to a friend of mine, I said, the thing that's the hardest for me to get veterinarians to do, and it is the most impactful for their clients, is to say, Mary Beth, I know that what we did for JD was what we, needed to do if, say, she died in surgery or something. Um, and we know that there were things that we did that weren't up to our usual way. So these are the three protocols we're putting into place right now to make sure it never happens again. And we're going to refund all your money and whatever. And it's not about the money for most of my clients. it's about making sure it never happens again.
Yeah. It's just funny, what comes to mind for me is, um, it's an analogy, but it's true life for me. I was a really crappy pet parent with my dog when I was given a dog when I was stationed in the Navy and I was still drinking. So I was going to say like a C minus D plus, and I got her picture up there. I'm looking at her,
And she's talking to
and
you
there's
right now. You know that.
yes, she's like, yeah. She says, yeah. And luckily, my mom and dad took her, and then my sister Nancy had her because I ended up in Japan. But the point is, after I became an animal communicator, I had a talk and I apologized. And I said, I promise you, I will be a better dog person. I'm going to do a lot better job. I'm sober, number one, but I am going to do a much better job with them than I did with you. And that's the best. I'm making amends by improving my behavior in
What
the
are the 12
future.
steps? What are the 12
You
steps,
got
right?
it
And
right.
and why not apologize to your dog? I mean, I apologize to my dogs all the time if I'm like in a frenzy or
Yes, I
I'm late
do
or
too.
whatever. And I throw them in the kennel and I come back and I go, I'm so sorry. This probably you were like, what is going on with her? She's having a moment. And of course I did not live up to the person they thought I was. So I had to apologize, take responsibility for my actions, and then make amends. And usually that means some really good cookies.
You're right. But what a lovely thing to be able to have that courage as a professional to say that to people. Um, for me, it would soothe my soul. It wouldn't make it go away, but it would soothe my soul that somebody's actually admitting and speaking it out loud.
My cohorts who do veterinary malpractice defense work, and I love them very much, and they're very smart attorneys, much smarter than me. They go, Deborah, we would never do that. And I said, you know, there is so much litigation that would go away if people would just say, this isn't how any of us wanted this to turn out. Because clearly, nobody in that room wanted that dog to die.
No.
So whether or not it was your fault, it was my fault, it was the vet tech's fault, who knows? Nobody wanted this to happen, and what can we do going forward to make it better for all of us? And usually that, we'll refund the money. That's the only thing. People, I hate when vets say to me, all they want is their money back. And I said, because that's all they can get. I said, you don't talk to them, you don't empathize with them, you don't take accountability and responsibility that either the communication was off. I had a veterinarian said, I'm so upset with the owner because they scraped together $10,000 to do a surgery that had to be done. And of course the dog went septic. So that was another 3,000. And the people said, we don't have it. We don't have it. And they're like, and they don't qualify for any of the grants in the hospital. So, we can't, give them money. So here's this dog who we can't really treat for the sepsics. And, they did the surgery. And why can't they find $3,000? They said, because they can't find 3,000. I said, I can't find $3,000. I said, and I'm not, living paycheck to paycheck. But for me to put $3,000 down would, after I put $10,000 down, I mean, let's get the big picture, right? It is really hard. And so, being empathetic and understanding and exhausting the different avenues of funding out there. It to me it's about communication, and I know that if I can help clients ask for information in a way that doesn't frighten veterinarians, then it gets resolved and everybody is
Lovely.
happy.
Love.
Licenses don't get reviewed, social media complaints don't get written, all sorts of things don't happen if you just take the time. The one thing that sometimes is very difficult is veterinarians don't like confrontation, and I love all veterinarians very much. So when you hear this, know that I love you very much. Confrontation and conflict, not something you want to, nobody wants to. I mean, lawyers don't either. I'm sure, Mary Beth, you'd prefer not to have a difficult conversation with a neighbor or with somebody ever. So we all don't like that. However, it's the work we do. And if something goes wrong or is perceived to have gone wrong, you need to listen for understanding, not response. And as Taylor said yesterday, and then take a pause and say, Mary Beth, I am so glad you told me about what your experience was like with JD. And can I have till Monday to get back to you on what you shared with me? Because I want to do a little, poking around and understand better what happened. And I don't think there's a person in the world who's going to say, no, you have to answer me right now.
You're right. Because as you said that, one, I'm hearing sincerity, vulnerability. There's nothing off in that communication. The only thing it does is open everybody's heart and mind to something better,
And that,
something better to come out of the conversation. I love it.
well, because isn't that what our dogs always help us to do? Get something better out of what we're going through.
They
I mean, I know
do.
I don't have Jane anymore, my little gray grandkitty. And believe me, I miss her every single day because I had no
Oh,
idea since I'd never had a cat, that purring was probably like oxytocin for me.
it is healing in itself. I
Unbelievable.
have It's unbelievable. Well, all right, so you went there. So my kitty bunny, because she has a little bunny tail, usually sleeps right at my face, or she sleeps on top of me when I am having some issues, thoughts and emotions, and she just helps that stuff just move right out with the purring. And I'm like, she doesn't hold on to it. She just sends it on its way. I'm like, cats are great. Well, they're all great, but she's wildly good at this stuff.
Yeah,
Isn't
so
it?
is Jane.
It's a special thing.
So Jane is back in New York living in a beautiful apartment with my son and my daughter-in-law, which is wonderful. Not really, but yes, it is. My son actually said to me, Mom, you work on people in conflict over animals. Are we going to have to mediate this? And I said, we might have to mediate, but I didn't. And I do get to stay with them and see Jane when I visit New York. So that's always good.
That's
Um,
good.
I love chatting with you because you bring that ability to see what what people are feeling and what people are communicating that they're not communicating. And I'm so grateful for our friendship and for you coming on again because it's so insightful to everyone to just take a minute and say and hear you say, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm feeling.
Well, thank you for sharing that. This is such an important topic to both of us. And thank you. I love that you bring in the law aspect. And I bring in the what are animals feeling and thinking and how do we react. It's a good combination for me to be able to talk to you and
Oh, I
share my
love it.
stuff.
I love it. I feel so blessed because, it's interesting when you're a lawyer, you're supposed to, just the facts, man. And yet there are so many times where I try to remember what my dogs think I would do here. And
Yes.
they are so
Yeah.
much better spirits than I am. Oh my God. I'm still working. I'm still a work in progress. Junie even Stella, the little pain. And she knows, she says, you shouldn't really speak to me that way. I'm sure if you spoke to her, she'd say, I don't know why she keeps calling me a pain. Um, she isn't. She has opinions. And I don't know if anybody out there has a dog who has opinions, but she has opinions. And sometimes because we're both women, we lock horns and have to have a conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
My cat is a very opinionated individual. Bunnies particularly.
of
Yeah.
course, because she has those special skills. So, Mary Beth, before we wrap up, I would love for you to tell everyone where they can learn more about you, get your newsletter, and maybe hire you to help them understand what's going on for their pets.
Okay, so I have put all my information into my website, sacredgrove.com, sacredgrove.com. And you can sign up for my newsletter there. If you want to work with me, I've got something called Try One Session where you get a short session for less money because we've been talking about money. But in the meantime, you can check me out and join my newsletter. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I'm spreading the word for you because it is so important for people because as we all know, they're not property. They're sentient
No.
beings. They feel pain, they have thoughts, they have feelings, they have opinions. and you're the one who's going to help me know why Stella feels this way. But it's really interesting. So I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so sad that you lost Jada. I mean, Jade, she's up there running around saying, it's okay, Nana, I'm good, I'm running around, and there are no dog fights up here. It's great. Until next time, thank you so much, Maribeth, and all of you, kiss your dogs for me. Remember to like and share this podcast so that other people can get the information that you're getting. And until next time, I'm Deborah Hamilton. This is the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, and kiss your pets for me.